Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom. Giving honor unto the Most High, the Creator and the Maker of heaven and earth. This particular presentation is not going to be long. Brothers and sisters, we want to, nonetheless, if we will, go over the aspect of how something is pluralized in Hebrew. It is not, as some people have stated, by it being a Hebrew word with the suffix of the English letter S. Thus, you may have heard some people say akotes for my sisters, or akots for sisters, or my ox for my brothers, or my akims for my brothers. In the description, there will be a playlist of how to describe brother and sister and showing it in possession, such as my, hers, his, theirs, etc. We want to, brothers and sisters, take out the time, if we will, to show for evidence purposes in attempting to be consistent in presenting information. We want to show this book here, if we will, brothers and sisters, all right? This book here being called Hebrew for Couples. And the link on how to get it will be inside of the description. Excuse me. This one right here is Hebrew for Couples 2. And the link for this will also be in the description. These, are books that I was writing along with my lady on how to get information out to the people regarding Hebrew for couples. Okay, let us start. Giving honor to the Creator of heaven and earth. This presentation will be about the matter that S is not the plural in Hebrew. All right? Subscribe to the channel, share, and like the video. Thank you. S is not the plural in Hebrew. Since many in Israel say matters like ox and akot in saying brothers and sisters, it became necessary to address the matter. S is not the plural in Hebrew. The letter S is shown there with a line through it to denote that it is not the plural in Hebrew. So we would not say in Hebrew, grammatically correct, Abbas for fathers and Imas for mothers and Ox for brothers. All right? A matter to discuss. The Hebrew word for Hebrew, the language, is Ibrit. The Hebrew word for Hebrew, a person, is Ibri. Here we see how it is spelt. Ibrit as in the language. Ibri as in a person. And brothers and sisters, as pointed out in this particular book, Hebrew is easy. This is another book that you can get upon Amazon or by contacting me to have it brought to you via FedEx Express personally. Here we have the word Ibrim. The word you see here is Ibrim. It means Hebrews and can be found in 1 Samuel chapter 14. So you wouldn't say Ibri as the person and say Ibris as if it's Hebrews. All right? Here we have Ibriot. The word we see here is that Ibriot. It means Hebrews, but these are females. And then you can find that in the book of Exodus, chapter 1. All right? Now, let's look at this. We have here the word Ro'im. We're going to pluralize, pardon me, we're going to bold type that part, all right? And we're going to color code that, say there in the blue, if we will, all right? And in doing so, we're going to, brothers and sisters, show the part that's not color coded. You have what's called the kirik, which is the dot under a letter, the yod, and the mem. That is how you generally pluralize something in Hebrew. All right. This particular word here says in Hebrew, ro, im. All right. Now, im, brothers and sisters, in Hebrew, is generally, all right, pardon me for that. And we want to underline that particular case, all right, in the English, pardon. All right, the im there is the pluralization part, ro'im, from ra'ah, meaning to see. That is in the masculine aspect. Here we have the word qualot. The word qualot meaning voices, all right? And the word qualot there, brothers and sisters, you have it to where we want to show this, say in the red, that oat there with the lamed and the kolam, the dot next to it. The oat is the general feminine pluralization of a word in Hebrew. So what are we saying? How you generally, all right, pluralize a masculine word is by the word im. And how you generally pluralize a feminine word, all right, in that case is the word oat. All right, so we want to show that for reference purposes. All right, so it's not S. It's either im or oat, okay? Let's go on to the next slide. The matter with male and female. The word male there is the word zakar. And the word female is the word nekweba. In reading dictionaries, you will see that the letter zayin, all right, is for the male and the letter nun is for the female. So what are we looking at, brothers and sisters, in that particular case, if we will, right? All right. You see the dalet there and then the ancient Hebrew dalet. Look at this carefully, right? You have the word here, the aga, meaning worry, care, or concern. So now you have the agot. That noon that you see there making the end sound, that shows you for the nekweba or the feminine. That resh there is the word for the word rabot, plural or many. Okay, so I just want to point that out for reference purposes. You see boat, note, and then you see here, if you're following the arrow, that is the onim, glider. Now, this im sound, not all the time, but in this case, it is the masculine plural of a word. So we want to emphasize that, all right, on how to read a Hebrew dictionary. So here we have im showing, if you're following along, thank you for taking the time out to even tune in. You have it as masculine singular, or pardon me, masculine plural. I'm so sorry. All right. The other one is feminine plural. All right. So just want to point that out. Now, shalom to Dorayahu Ben Dora and to Adonia Kanad Yirmiyahu Yahuda. All right. Now, brothers and sisters, let's look at this for edification purposes. Take Dorayahu Ben Dora, right? Ben is son. So Banim is sons. So you wouldn't pluralize the word son in Hebrew, which is ben in the singular, by saying bens. You understand? You would say it, brothers and sisters, as banim. All right, so that's something we want to point out for evidence purposes. All right, shalom to the sister, my lady, Sarah Michaela Israel. All right, now, I didn't forget to read Genesis chapter 6:19. And of every living creature of all flesh, two of every sort, that shall bring into the ark to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female. Let's go in Israel. All right. So let's look at that for edification purposes, if we will. They shall be male and female. Zakar is male. Nequeba is female. Mean means gender. Mean means sex, not intimate sex, but gender, like male or female. Now, not talking disrespectful, the way to say intimacy or sexuality is the word shikba. Shikba means sexuality from the Hebrew root word shakab, which means to lay down. All right, but getting back on point, let's not sidetrack. In this way we see here, they don't understand it because they say Genesis 6:19 and Genesis 7:2 is a contradiction. Genesis 7:2 talks about clean and unclean. Genesis 6:19 talks about the matter of gender. But when you have a society that's about you can be a boy or a girl, and when you're in a society that doesn't care about clean or unclean, you can't understand the book of Genesis. So this is something that we want to point out for edification purposes. 1 second, please. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Toda Rabah. Shalom. Sorry about that, brothers and sisters. All right, now let us look at this particular case. All right. If I can be heard, give me a 1. Because I can hear me. But if I can be heard, give me a 1, brothers and sisters. And again, told out to the people for subscribing to the channel and for assisting. Again, if a person does not understand the ways of the Most High, such as he making male and female, and if you do not understand about clean and unclean, the book of Genesis is not going to make sense to you. You understand? That just go to show you that, as it says, a soul that is subject to sin, wisdom will not enter. All right, so now the word for male is zakar. The word for female is nequeba. Now, this is no disrespect intended, but speaking, we don't mean no offense to any children or anything of that sort. But in speaking upon this, the word nequeba, meaning female, it comes from the root word naquab, which means to pierce. The same root word means hole, H-O-L-E. So the Hebrews, in their understanding, had a concept of what is the gender matter and so forth and so on. All right, let's continue in this next part. All right, we expounded upon that. Some rules and examples. The general way to pluralize a word in Hebrew that is masculine is by adding the suffix of the letters im. Wave is the word gal in Hebrew. All right. So now, with that being the case, you got the word waves, galim, gal, galim, gal. We see here. All right. We want to color code that, if we will. We're going to color code this one blue. All right. And we're going to color code its plural, brothers and sisters. Let us pick dark red. So the word wave is singular. You will not say gals for waves because S is not the plural in Hebrew. So you find Israelites, and I'm not, like I said in the description, no disrespect is intended. I remember hearing people, and I'm guilty of it myself, not that it's a crime, You understand? But I have been one to say my ox, my imam, their imams, their abbas, their akots. A lot of sisters in Israel say my akotis, but such is not the case. We're going to just jump a little and say akot is sister. Akyot means sisters. Akoti is my sister. Akyotai means my sisters. Ak is brother. Akim is brothers. Aki is my brother. Akai means my brothers. So there is already in Hebrew a way to sit there and get into this particular case. Now, somebody typed in Shalom Akoti at Sarai, Torah Rabbah, the Most High, Zebaot. All right, let's use that as an example. Thank you for typing that part in. Zebaot, all right? That means what? What does Zebaot mean? I want to exchange convo a little with the brothers and sisters in here. Brother Adonia Kanan, you typed in the word Zebaot or Zebaot. What does that word mean? Thank you for that, by the way. Lord of hosts. Correct. Except that Zebaot is its plural. So it's the Lord of hosts. Hosts. So in the book of Jeremiah, when we read in the English, the Lord of hosts, it's the same way of saying the Lord of armies. All right. So now look at that in that particular case. His army is the storm. His army is the waves. His army is the fire, the snow, the hell, the vapor, everything fulfilling his word, as it says in the book of Psalms. That's part of his army and his host. You don't want problems with that. New York City, the city that never sleeps, was shut down because of a snowflake. Years ago. Big storm, nothing moving. Everything stranded. That's part of the army of the Most High. You understand? Man got to keep on creating new weapons. The Most High's army is already established and ready to go when he tells it to give it a command. I was telling my lady, one of the things that amazed me when her and I was looking at the water by the bay of the Atlantic Ocean is the Most High is the one that told it, don't pass this point. That's power. When you have the power to tell the wave, go or stop, that's powerful right there. When the tsunami happened in Indonesia, I believe if I remember right, the year was 2004. It said that the cows went up the mountain before the people realized what was going on because his behemoth or his beast knew what was going on. So these are things we want to point out in that particular case. The general way to pluralize a word in Hebrew that is feminine is by adding the suffix letters ot. Hence, we see simla, which is dress. Then dresses, simalot. So as we want to emphasize and point something out too, all right, let us color code this red, if you're following, and then let's see this going to work. Yay. All right, let's color code this also red. And what do we want to point out? Simla simalot. When you have a feminine word in Hebrew, right? You have it to where the hay is transformed into the oats and the hay drops off. These are some rules and examples of what we're talking about. All right, somebody asked, that is interesting. I never read it as yet, the masculine plural form Zebaim attached to the great name. And I was asked, why do I think that is? I can give this surmise. The word Zebah ends in a masculine letter, the letter Aleph. But when you pluralize it, it has a feminine plural aspect. This may not be sounding agreeable to all Israelites. But do you know that the spirit of the Most High in Genesis is feminine? I ask again. Do we know that the spirit of the Most High in the book of Genesis, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth? In the Hebrew, it says, Ruach Elohim, Koto, Ruach Elohim, Merachefet, Al Pnei Hamayim. The spirit of the Most High hovered over the face of the waters. Ruach Merachefet. That et at the end of that word is a feminine. The Shekinah of the Most High, which is translated generally as his presence, is in the feminine. Did we know that? Shekinah is not masculine, but we must know the difference between masculine and human male and feminine and human female. My daughter is feminine. She's not a grown woman. You understand? There are masculine and feminine entities. It's not human even in some cases. So looking at this in this particular case, if we will, when we start talking about the matter of saying sinla, which is a feminine word, when you pluralize it, it's simalot. So I hope my explanation was satisfactory, my brother Dora, regarding why do I think that you don't see zibaim as if it's a masculine plural, but rather zibaot. And it's not to sound misogynistic or sexist, but it says the woman's desire shall be toward her husband. The army and the host of the Most High obey him. So his host, which is an army, which is treated in the feminine aspect in Hebraic thought, even if it's the flies or the plagues or anything like that, even the word plague in Hebrew is magefa, which is a feminine word. So we have it to where the Shekinah of the Most High from the root Hebrew word shakan. The word shakan in Hebrew means to dwell. So let us go over this real quick, if we will. And I thank the people for taking out the time to even listen. All right, let's look at this, if we will, real quick, please. All right. You have here, for instance, all right, shakan. That in root means to dwell. All right. Then we have the word, as many people have heard, Shekinah, which is some people's names. And that means dwelling or habitation. So the Shekinah of the Most High is in the feminine. Israelites, namely out of Hashaba Yisrael. By the way, the word Hashaba is also a feminine word. They had a song called Hayafa Elohim. In that particular case, you're talking about the presence of the Most High. His Shekinah is Yafa, not treated as Yafeh. Now, this is not to sound either hatred toward males or females. But if we're going to read in Genesis 5, verse 2, let's read that. All right. I'm going to type that in so people can look it up themselves. Genesis 5, 2. Because Israel is not to be, or should not be, or in truth is not a misogynistic kind of people. Putting the woman down is not how you big yourself up, brothers and sisters. All right. That's not our way. I man, you woman, you hear me. Because if she has love and respect for you, she gonna hear you anyway. That's something you ain't gotta force to happen. So let's look and read Genesis 5, verse 2, and let's see what this says in particular. And it reads as follows: male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam, and the day they were created. Genesis 5:1 is when he said he made Adam in his image. So if Adam was the equation of the male and the female together in Genesis 5:2, that would mean that both the male and the female was made in the image of the Most High. Of course, we know it's not a physical image, brothers and sisters. It is his spiritual image. And we know the spirit of things is in the feminine. These are things we want to talk about for evidence purposes. Torah Rabbah. Cain. And looking at that, let us continue on. Here are some common used words in the singular and plural. All right. Let's look at the word for floor. All right. The word quoma for floor. Floors, quomote. All right. So, don't want that to be erased. Being careful with that part. So we have quoma, we see here, and quomote. We want to enlarging, sorry. We want to enlarge in this word here. And enlarging, all right, this word here. And in doing so, let us look. All right, Toda Rabbah. The word quoma, you see, brothers and sisters, the hey here. Sorry about that. Let's do this over. Sorry. On that end. All right. Quoma becomes quomote because the hay drops off and you get the oat, plural. Storm, sa'ara. All right. Storm, sa'arot. The hay again drops off and you get the oat sound. So we want to show that for reference purposes. All right. Brother, ak. Brothers, akim. And we want to emphasize, if we will, upon this particular case. If we will, because you don't have ox. Sefer, book. Sefarim, books. All right? Now, what you're seeing here on the right side is masculine pluralization of a word. Some words can be treated, especially with verbs, V-E-R-B. Especially with verbs, you have a masculine and a feminine, a singular and a plural, even when you're talking about the command form or what is called the zawu, or the aspect of it being imperative. The infinitive in Hebrew doesn't have a set masculine and feminine. Now, for those who are interested, again, not plain salesman, get this book here for these kind of rules that we're talking about. This book here, Hebrew is Easy, Volume 1, is $8 on Amazon. You can get it online. All righty. So, looking at this for reference purposes, we have here the word sefer, meaning book. The word story in Hebrew is sipur. Now, brothers and sisters, F and P are interchangeable in languages, just like S and S, just like B and V, just like SH and S, depending upon this matter in a particular case. So these are things that we want to emphasize and talk about for reference purposes. Speaking about the aspect of the masculine and the feminine, while we're talking about how a word is to be pluralized. Let us go on. If there's any questions, please feel free to ask it in the comment section. All right, some basic rules regarding the plural matter. Let's go in. In Hebrew, if the root of a word, the base, the origin of a word is in the masculine, the adjective too must be in the masculine. Now, an adjective describes a noun. A person, place, a thing is a noun. So we're talking big, tall, black, white, fat, skinny, good, evil. Those are some list of some adjectives. All right. In describing things, you have its masculine and feminine. You have the aspect of its plural and its singular. This applies even when the masculine word is pluralized in the feminine. Let's look at this word we see here, brothers and sisters. All right. We have here, we're going to make a new slide too. All right. We have here the word maquel. All right. We're going to bold type that. This word, maquel, it means staff. Sometimes it's translated as the word stick. All right. The word mate more so means branch or rod. All right. Mate is more so branch or rod. Whereas the word maquel is the word more so for stick or staff. But let us go on. It means stick or staff. It is a masculine word. The plural of the word is maklot. So now when you look at said here, right? Let's copy and paste, right? This word here. And we're going to enlarge this word here. All right? And we're going to put it. We want to put this in Times New Roman. Bear with me. And I thank you for doing so, brothers and sisters, and elders included. All right? Times New Roman. All right, let's look at that. Now, we have here also, going back, the word maklot. And we want to copy and put it on here and explain what we're talking about from a Hebraic perspective. So that way we can gain some understanding. Now, let's look, brothers and sisters. There is no letter hey in the word maquel. Yet, though it is a masculine word, its pluralization is treated in the feminine. This is what is referred to as an irregular noun. Now, when I began to study Hebrew hard body when I was 14, 15 years old, I personally did not like the terminology irregular because if it's yours, there's nothing irregular about it. It is what it is. So, but I wanted to use the term now so when you read it or see it, you'll know what we're speaking of or what you're reading on your own. Emphasize what you're reading on your own. There's a reason why there's homework given in school. There's a reason why they have after-school tutoring. Not to be arrogant. There's a reason why a brother leaves his meets paw or his number to get in contact back and forth with people. Now, I want to say this to the brothers in the room, Adonia, Kanan, as well as Doraya Bendora. Brothers, Hebrew is easy. Learn the words that you use all the time. That is how your vocabulary will increase tremendously or greatly. If I said the word wrong, pardon me. If you're into painting, learn your colors. Learn the word for brush. Learn the word for painting. Learn the word for canvas. And then you will be able to say, I painted, I will paint. And your vocabulary, your sentence structure, and then working on your grammar will exceed. I made what I would like to call a chart about learning Hebrew. In this book, also available on Amazon, Hebrew is Easy, Volume 2. And in this, brothers and sisters, I stated the following. All right. Alphabet and vowels makes you a reader. A reader with a dictionary increases your vocabulary. Your vocabulary and your sentences make your grammar. Your grammar and your conversation makes you a speaker. So we want to point that out, if we will, for edification purposes. All right? All right. So, as we know as brothers and as men, there's steps and degrees to this. And it's very easy. It is not difficult at all. Learn the words you use all the time in English, and your conversation will get greater. All right? All right. The brother typed in that he began to use stickers around the house. Okay, so let's use that as an example, right? Refrigerator, mikwarer, stove, tanor, menorah, candle, also meaning candle that you would use. It's the same word for candle holder. The word menorah literally means like candle holder. Sasal, meaning couch or bench. Dukan, the word for counter. Shulkan, the word for table. Aron, meaning closet or cabinet. Just use that for example. Using the word like aron for cabinet, then you'll be able to know I put something in the cabinet. Samti hadabar ba'aron. I put the thing in the cabinet. Hasamta hadabar ba'aron. Did you put the thing in the cabinet? Toda basim hadabar ba'aron. Thank you for putting the thing in the cabinet. Oh, shakakti la asot hadabar al ha'aron. I forgot to do the thing concerning the cabinet. You see your vocabulary in your conversation will begin to sit there and increase. Ani santi hamazon bam kwarer. I put the food inside of the refrigerator. Ani bishati hamazon bamarkeshe ubaga ubasir al rosh patano. I made the food, I prepared the food in the frying pan and inside the pot on top of the stove. Point being is that whatever you do, learn that vocabulary, because it's what it is with that. I have Hebrew teachers. Let's go over some of them. More Yehotzedek. He was a teacher in a congregation, and I remember sitting under him. Shout out to More Yehotzedek. I had a teacher named Imam Miriam. Much respect to Gaveret Miriam regarding that. I had a teacher named More Tibak. May he rest in peace. I have a teacher named Kohen Mikael. May the Most High continue his life. I had a Hebrew teacher by the name of Adon Aharon. May he rest in peace. Some of my Hebrew teachers have passed away. Some of them are still among us. I had a Hebrew teacher, both whom passed away, More Mishael, as well as More Hoshea. So one of the things in doing things on this channel and other cases is we don't want the makwel. We don't want that baton. We don't want that staff to drop. We want to continue the legacy that our teachers have put in place. We don't want that to drop. We want to continue and move on in it. And I say to any brother, sister, elder, or youth in this, pick your teacher. Bikru, Morka, or Moratka. The Korana, Morek, or Moratek. Now let's break that down. Bakar means to choose. More is teacher for a male. Mora is teacher when the teacher is a female. If I'm speaking to males, I would say Bikru Morka. Pick your teacher if the teacher's a male. I would say Bikru Morat. Bikru Moratka if the teacher's a female. If I'm speaking to all females, I would say Bikorna Morek. Pick your teacher if that teacher is a male. And Bikorna Moratek if that teacher is a female. See how gender plays a role in Hebrew? That's why the Sodomite community can't understand Genesis. Adam and Eve may have not existed. Not when you're promoting an Ish and Ish that don't mix. or an Isha and an Isha. That don't mix. Hebrew is very much based upon gender. As my teacher, may he rest in peace, Maureen Mishael pointed out, Hebrew is the language of gender. There's a masculine way to tell someone to choose, and there's a masculine and feminine way of who you're talking to and who you're talking about. So there's the first, second, third person, and plural, and singular, and gender. All of that matters when you're talking Hebrew. But remember, even with all that, remember this. Hebrew is easy. Don't let the differences between the Holy Tongue and the English make you say, well, you know what? Nah. Study at your own pace. No beating the head. These videos, I have no intentions on taking them down. And like I said, even on Facebook, which I call fake book, there are Hebrew teachers who can mop the floor with me. Hands down. There are Hebrew teachers, though many brothers and sisters see me as their Hebrew teacher, there are Hebrew teachers I know that can mop the floor with me. And it is what it is. So my point is, pick your teacher. Study abroad. Take their notes and let them know, as your appointed more or mora, male teacher or female teacher, that you appreciate what he or she does. I don't go hard doing presentations asking for Cash App donations. I don't even put it inside, say, the description. Cash App me this or that. Nah. The style that I got from my maid mora, my mother, you don't ask people for money. You sell them something so they can see what they're getting in their hand. That's something Ima he lindani hu. Imi he lidamni hu. My mother, she taught me that. So that's why you wouldn't really see, like in the description, my Cash App info. I put my number. I don't deny or decline a donation, but you ain't going to find Moreh Yeshaya or Kashub the Danite or Yeshaya Yisrael saying send donations, send donations, send donations. I'd rather tell you go on Amazon and buy the book so you can see where your money is going and you can hold it in your hand. You understand? So once it comes down to that, all right? We have 908-587-4841. You can call or text me to anyone asking how to get in contact with me, or by the email. You have YYISRAEL. So that's my telephone number, text or call, or my email to reach out to a brother. All right? Cain. So we have the sister writing, Ani Asir Tuda Al Atot Sheli Tuk Nishrit Fation. If I'm reading the sister's comment right. Thank you. And so now, looking at this, brothers and sisters, and I say again, in no disrespect to anyone, I was taught from my mother, while you won't see among many channels, you find some say, especially in the said conscious community, and this is not saying I'm better or worse, you find a lot of times they're not offering anything that for you to get, but they keep on asking, send your donations, send your donations, send your donations, super chat, send your donations. No. This is with the super chat that we want to do. Hebrews Easy, Volume 1. That's the beginning of a chat. Hebrews Easy, Volume 2. That's the beginning of a chat. All right? Hebrews Easy, Volume 3. That's increasing in the chat. Hebrews Easy, Volume 4, so you can get your nouns together. That's what we want to do. All right? Hebrews Easy, Volume 5. All right? So you can begin to sit there and see how the biblical Hebrew works for edification purposes and how to talk with family. Then we have Hebrews Easy, volume 6. This is how you talk with your elders and people in that kind of aspect there. Then we have, brothers and sisters, as pointed out earlier, we have Hebrew for couples. Now, this is no disrespect or anything gross about it. All right. Grown talk, not to be perverted or anything of that sort. That's what this promotes. Then we have Hebrew for couples, volume 2. So you're not going to find a brother, not to be redundant, saying, send me a donation in the Cash App, and then you ain't getting nothing. If you send me a Cash App for a book, you're going to get the book. To date, nobody can sit there and say they paid Moreh Yeshaya for a book and they didn't get it. Me'ad hayom hazeh, ain't ish yakol emor, hem shilem oti kesef lehinatein sefer walo etin hasefer be'emet. In truth, nobody can say they paid me for a book and they did not get the book. Elohim ziwa lo tikno, the Most High commanded thou shalt not steal. So these are things we just want to point out for edification purposes. All right. So now let's go on, if we will, Todah, Sister Sarai, for that. Conclusion. This presentation was not intended to offend or disrespect anyone. As Israelites, we should want to learn the language of our ancestors. Hebrew, we know, is heavily based on gender. However, this presentation is about us not being the way to pluralize a Hebrew word. I ask each and every single person who watches this to subscribe to the channel and share the video. To the people who have always supported, thank you. Todah Rabbah. And then I put my number and the email again. Thank you for anyone who is interested in doing such. Now let's look at this and close out, right? You can't talk about, I find for myself, how to pluralize a word in Hebrew and not get somewhere into the gender. We just said Todah Rabbah. Thanks a lot. You see how we got there in red? Alrighty. See how we got that dollar there? We want to show that in the red. Then we got that bet, right? We're going to show that in the red. You notice underneath it, there's a quamatz under each, making the yah sound. And then we see here the letter hey. And we want to show this in the blue. And then here we have the letter hey. All right? No, just hey. Here we go. Bless. All right. By the way, the word for blessing in Hebrew is baraka, which is a feminine word, by the way. The letter hey, as pointed out, brothers and sisters, in Hebrew is easy, volume 2, if we will, is a feminine word, is a feminine letter. I pointed that out in the Egypt Talk book as well. All right, now, let's look at this color-coded matter that we see here. Dalet in the red, bet in the red. Now, when we say Todah Rabbah, we're saying thanks a lot, right? In that, you wouldn't say Todah Rab, because Rabbah, brothers and sisters, Rabbah means much or many. So it's given its number in describing it. So because Todah ends with the ah, its description has to also agree in gender and other matters. So you wouldn't say Todah Rab, you would say Todah Rabbah. Now let's look at this here. We have the word here, Rab. Many people. All right. Now, meaning people, Rab meaning many. You wouldn't necessarily say Rabbah, but you would say Todah Rabbah. All right. So be it Rabbah, meaning much or many. Rab, all right, too, means much or many. So because in Hebrew, the adjective or anything of the verb or its noun or its adverb must agree with the subject and the object that's all in the same sentence. Hebrew is based heavily on gender. So we can't have in Israel the thought of you are trying to castigate and you're trying to marginalize someone by saying he or she. That spirit don't fit in Israel. You understand? One of the more common sins, and I'm not trying to put one over the other. One of the more common sins in Israel, when you read in the scriptures, was stealing and adultery, not sodomy. You understand? You had more issues with couples not living upright than people want to sit there and deal with the same gender. You don't do that in the house of Yisrael. It doesn't work. And the world's about to find that out. All right? So now getting back to this, the language of a people shows you the mentality of a people. That's why we want to emphasize that Hebrew is very much based upon whether it's masculine or it's feminine. And it's feminine doesn't mean that the man is being marginalized. When it's masculine, it doesn't mean, brothers and sisters, that the female is being hated upon. There's rules to this. Somebody asked this. What is the difference between the masculine and feminine construct forms and how to identify them? Now, yes, it's on topic, my brother Dora. The construct forms of what? In a verb, in a noun, I have to ask. Because when you're constructing, say, in a sentence, if you're asking me, what is the construct form of something? And how do you tell the difference? Let's go and create a new slide if I'm hearing and understanding you right. All right. Let's go back here, right? And we just want to take this letter and copy it. Go to this part. Thank you for the question, my brother. Right? We're going to paste this and we're going to enlarge this. Come on, enlarge. All right. We're going to enlarge this to 96. It's largest. All right. Now, take that letter hey. That is treated as a feminine letter. All right. Now, I'm going to have to ask you while we're talking before we close out, and don't hesitate to ask questions. I appreciate it. How do you, or what do you mean when you say a verb or constructing of such? Present tense, past tense, future tense, command form. It's passive, it's active, it's reflective. Which one? See, the reason why, and I mean this in due respect, that I ask, because you have active, passive, intensive, reflexive regarding verbs. What form do you mean when you're asking about how to identify its masculine or its feminine in that particular case? By the way, the Hebrew word for verb is the word pa'al. The word pa'al in Hebrew means verb itself. All right? So just want to point that out for reasonable purposes. So let us do this real quick, if we will, right? Let us create this, all right? And looking at it in this particular case. Thank you for the time and for the question. All righty. Okay, so now, let's say pa'al present tense. The word pa'al means to act or to do. So now, if we're looking at it, say like that, right? You have, I want to show this real quick. Thank you. All right. That's not a common used word, but let's do so, my friend. All right. Copy. Let's get back to this here. All right. And create a new slide in this particular case. right? Excuse me. And we're going to look at this word here, pa'al, right? Which means to do or to act. Put it in the Times New Roman, take it here, put it here, and that's not what I wanted. Okay, you would have it to where you have that same word, pa'al. Not just dealing with the present tense, right? Let us go back and look at this here, if we will. Sorry about that. Okay, for those who are seeing, right, you have this poel, meaning worker. But now when we see this, because remember, we already established and understood that the word pa'al, brothers and sisters, means to do or to make. So it is a worker, it's a doer, it's a maker, it's a worker. All right? So let's look at that right there. You have poel in that particular case. That's masculine, singular. So now, if you take that same word, right, and what we're going to do, looking at it from this particular case, for those who are able to follow along, if you put the letter tau at its end, right, you will see the word here, poelet. That is its feminine singular. All right, so let's do that, if we will. All right, looking at it in that particular case. Sorry about that. All right, so now let's look real quick, brothers and sisters, before we close out. Poelet. Feminine, singular. All right, so now let's look. You have here the word pa, al. Then we have here, all you dealing in the present tense, po, el. And here we have po, elet. Now, what can we gather and gain from that? That the et sound in its present tense, it shows it to be its feminine singular. So you get, in many cases, the word sho'el. Sho'el meaning to ask. So it's sho'elet. I hope that answered the question between a masculine and a feminine construct forms. And you mentioned something about the present tense. So I dealt with the word pa'al, which means, brothers and sisters, to do, to work, to make. Israel's not a lazy people, and their language shows it. If you have to have a Sabbath, if you have a national day of rest, that shows you the other days you really putting that work in. For your whole nation to have a Shabbat, a Sabbath, that says a lot about your culture as a people, about the other days. So looking at it like that, right? Pa'al, the verb meaning to do, to work, or to make. It's present tense. Po'el, feminine, po'elet. So the et sound, we want to type this in and then close out. The et sound is how in construction of the present tense of a verb is how we receive the feminine singular. We already went over the ot, im and ot. So it would be po'alim and po'alot, all right, in that particular case. So I hope that answered your question. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to type in. Brothers and sisters, in closing out, we're going to say Hebrews Easy Volume 1. You can get this. This goes over the alphabet and the vowels. The goal in this is by the time you study this in the playlist of videos that's in it, the intention is that you become a reader. we have Brothers and Sisters Volume 2. I had this done by the Sister Fab Aim Edits. All right, for those who do know. And in this particular case, I had her do the cover on her own because I left it for her to do it like pink because it deals a lot with this letter here, the letter Hey, which is a feminine letter. All right, so this gets into the feminine aspect of Hebrew intensely. Then we have here Hebrews Easy Volume 3. This gets into the construct that the brother Dora asked us about with verbs, and it gets into the present, the past, and the future of verbs. And by that, we mean the qual stem. So be it quote unquote irregular, such as the word ratza, meaning en route to once, or the word shir, the word en route meaning to sing. This book covers that particular case. All right. Here we have Volume 4. This gets into your nouns. My brother, his brother, our brother, their brother, my brothers, their sisters, her ancestors. All of that and showing a possession of it in this particular case is how this book gets into by showing it through the suffixes. Okay, this book right here, Hebrews Easy Volume 5. This gets into the numbers in Hebrew. How to say I have, I don't have, I will have. How to say the 10 Commandments in Hebrew is also there. So that's what this book here points out, and it gets into the honoring of the elders from the commandment keeper place. For those who are familiar with Israelites in New York in the early 1900s, and shows two of my teachers. May they both rest in peace. All right? Anybody saying they taught themselves and not even saying the Most High taught them is a wicked person. All right, so now this one right here, Hebrews Easy Volume 6. This one is dedicated to my mother in honor for memory, and it gets into how to read Hebrew and how not to let only knowing English discourage you. It's about encouragement in that particular case as well. And for those who do know, you have Hebrew for Couples, written by me and my lady Sarai Israel, and Hebrew for Couples Volume 2, written by me and my lady Sarai Israel. No one is above rebuke in the house of Israel. For those who've been following the channel or who know, a brother had a situation that he had to deal with. I thank the Most High for clarity of understanding. Any wrong a brother's done, I need mitzta'er, I apologize. I need omer lakem silikati. I say to you all, my apologies. Wa'ani mekwawe atem to kwablu silikati. And I hope that you will accept my apology. There's no way a brother could be comfortable on this or any other channel speaking upon Hebrew history as done earlier. Creator willing, intend to do another presentation in history tomorrow morning without addressing also when the Ruach is telling you to, because it's not part of the PowerPoint now. But when your Ruach is telling you, address the matter again. If you do wrong in any language, apologize. Don't try to run shot like ain't nothing happened. That's not what Hebrew culture is about. Each letter signifies something. For those who do know, 2 weeks ago I went on a tangent and used words that you can't even translate in Hebrew. The elders contacted me, told me to take the video down, which I did. To anyone offended, to my lady, Gabirati Sarah, to my lady Sarah for offending, Ani Omer Lak Silikati, I say to you my forgiveness. Wa Ani Mekwawe, At Mekwabelet Silikati. And I hope you accept my forgiveness or my apology, sorry. So I took that video down and left up the one that's about the apology for me getting out of my character and being in my feelings. That's not what Hebrew culture is about. So just want to emphasize that my Ruach is telling me to address it. Nobody did. My Ruach is saying it. Anyone who heard it or know what I'm talking about. So I definitely do apologize in that case. All right. Somebody said that they didn't know I had that many books out. Well, there's 6 Hebrew books out that I did, Torah, and then there's 2 that me and the sister Sarai have. Again, for those who care, all right, we're going to close out. You can call me tonight or whenever you're free, 908-587-4841, all right? Or you can send me email, all right, at YYISRAEL, the number 22 at yahoo.com. Call or text, either or send an email. All right. With that, subscribe to the channel, share the video, hit the like button if you choose to. All right. All of these books is on Amazon by the title, Hebrews Easy Volume 1, so forth and so on. Or you can get it directly from me, whatever you're comfortable with in that particular case. If you want it signed, not a problem. Same price. Some authors, they charge you more for a signed book. Same price with Day Night Publications. All right. So with that, Most High bless. Shalom. Love you too. Gubirati Sarai. Cain, the Most High, the Alpha and Omega. Cain in Greek, whether we say it in English, in Greek, or even in Hebrew. Harishon Akarit, the beginning and the end. The Most High is all that in all languages. Cain. With that, Most High bless Lala Tob. Good night. Oh, by the way, if Tob is the masculine, right? And Lila is night, but Lila ends with the ah sound. Why is it Lila Tob and not Lila Toba? Aha. There's a reason in Hebrew, though night ends in its feminine sounding, when you describe it, it's described in its masculine. Stay tuned to the channel. More lessons on its way. Shalom. There's a reason for that. Achim wa achiot. Brothers and sisters, zikwanim and zikwanot. Elders, male and female alike. Shalom. Cain. Tob means good, but Lila is night. But if Lila is sounding in its feminine, Lila, why is it not Lila Toba? No, nobody's trying to catch nobody lacking. But there is a grammatical reason why Hebrew for saying good night is not Laila Toba. Stay in tune to the channel. More lessons on its way. Or one can get the book. Shalom. Most I bless. Y'all have a good night. Shalom.